Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth. Today we're going to set up my bullet journal for November, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with a glance back at October. This is the Conclave of Lost Shadows theme, and I am doing this very early on in the month, so I am only about a week into October. This is my to-do list and my calendar, my playlist, and then of course this is my review, so I haven't really done anything here yet. And then I have been daily logging. So I've left myself a fair number of blank pages. I hope I have enough of them here to fill in before moving on to November. Now, the theme this month that you voted on was Inceptions, and it's a playlist that's based off of the movie Inception. I am going to put some imagery from the movie here on the right. This is a playlist about dreams and illusion and fantasy. And of course, some of the songs that are on this playlist have their own weird imagery. And I decided to incorporate that into my setup for November, starting off with the cow, or one of the random cows, from Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. And then we'll also punctuate each page with some song lyrics, like I like to do. I'm just going to put them on every page this time. I am also keeping this one monochromatic, so we're going to go ahead and start with a Tombo Furunosuke, which I will use a lot during this setup, and start sketching in these images from Inception. Now, Inception is one of my favorite films. It is a mind-bending science fiction thriller directed by Christopher Nolan, who is my favorite director. The film primarily revolves around the character of Dom Cobb, who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, an expert in the art of extraction, a process of entering people's dreams to steal their secrets. He's hired by a powerful businessman, Sato, to perform an even more challenging task, Inception, which involves planting an idea into a person's mind. To accomplish this task, Cobb assembles a team of specialists that delves deeper into dreams within dreams. The line between reality and the dream world blurs, and the film explores complex themes of memory, guilt, and the nature of reality. Inception is known for its stunning visual effects and thought-provoking narrative. It's a mix of heist and science fiction genres with layers of dreams and realities intertwined. One of those stunning visual effects is the bending of a cityscape, which they do within a dream, and I thought I would go ahead and recreate that bent cityscape here at the top, pointing down from the top of the book. The other things that I have sketched on the page are called totems. So when a person goes into a dream, they take a totem with them to remind them what is reality and what is the dream. And the dice, the bishop, the poker chip, and of course the spinning top are 4 of the totems from the film. Inside this curved cityscape is where I'm going to nestle the title of this playlist, Inceptions, but first we're going to go ahead and work on our cow. Now, Sweet Dreams is one of those music videos that already has some trippy visuals, and then all of a sudden we have cows. And every single time I hear this song, I think about those cows. It's like the cows in the movie Twister, where they're flying through the air, and they're like, cow, another cow. Anytime somebody mentions Twister, I think about the cows. It's weird, I know, but let me know down in the comments if there's any other sort of media that immediately conjures up visuals of cows for you. Okay, so for part of this quote, I've got a stencil, because of course I do. My favorite way of putting in quotes is to use a combination of a stencil and then my natural handwriting, because I'm not much of a letterer, and it's just a whole lot easier for me. This time I wasn't going to actually use the stencil, I was just going to trace around what I'd already penciled in. But I decided I was going to kind of do that scribbly thing in between the stencil that I do in my reading journal, and having the stencil kept me from going outside the lines. And there is my Inception/Sweet Dreams cover page for November of 2023. Like I said, we're keeping it simple with the black and white. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my calendar, where I'm going to do something a little bit different. I don't normally use individual boxes for my calendar, but I am going to do that this month, simply because I've just been keeping little memory-keeping tidbits, and I thought it'd be interesting to put them inside individual boxes. And because dreams can be a little bit wibbly-wobbly, we are going with hand-drawn lines. I did not want to get out the ruler, so I am just going to turn the book here in a minute so that I can pull those lines towards me and have all of those individual boxes. With those on the page, I'm going to flip the book back around and we're going to start on our 2 pieces of imagery for this particular page. The first is a stereo or boom box that I'm going to put up in the left corner, and then on the right side I'm doing this really cool mid-century lamp. And yes, these 2 things are connected. And here they are together in the music video for Imagination by Foster the People. But after drawing my little stereo, I decided to go ahead and number these boxes. And as I was numbering, I began to realize that I had way too many of these boxes. I have 2 extra boxes for the month of November. And we are going to fix that in the most tried and true bullet journal fashion, and that's by going to the back of the book, snipping out a little bit of this paper that already matches what we are using, cutting it down to size, and pasting it into the journal to cover up those 2 black boxes. With that all covered up, I can move on to drawing our funky 70s or mid-century modern whatever lamp that was in this video. Off on the right, I did squish the globes of the lamp a little closer to one another than they are in the video, so that I could fit them into this tall, narrow space. And then to make sure I have enough contrast on the page, I am going to color most of those globes black. I left the 2 that are not facing the viewer necessarily gray, and then I did the other ones black. And then it's time to go ahead and put in our headers for the weeks, as well as a little November down here in the corner now that I have space for one, and our quote. And our quote for this one is, "I see us dancing by ourselves, we do it better." And with that quote down on the page, that will wrap up the calendar. Again, I'll be using my calendar for memory keeping as opposed to pre-planning. And then we're going to move on to what is going to be the only next full spread that I'm going to set up, which is going to be a to-do list. Now I'm going to do my to-do list a little bit differently this time. I think I've been separating it by like dots and beyond and home for the last few setups. But if you watched my video last Wednesday on my elemental life operating system, I do put my different life areas or domains into 5 different areas based on the elements. So earth, air, water, spirit, and fire. I name them Greek names, but I've made 5 columns here to see if I can start doing my to-do list by these columns and making things be a little more balanced. Now the imagery for this page is going to be a kid flying on their bed through the air, and that is because this is imagery that is in the video for Silent Lucidity by Queensryche. I am going to label those columns again using the Greek with Terra, Air, Ignis, Aqua, and Aether, and then I decided to draw in some clouds, which I didn't originally have on this sketch, but I felt like that flying bed was kind of alone all by itself. The quote on this page is of course from Silent Lucidity. "There's a place I like to hide, a doorway that is run through in the night." And again, I will just finish off that quote with my natural cursive. And that is it for the fully designed spreads for the November setup. I am going to put some pop-up surprises on some subsequent pages. Looking back at how I have been daily logging, these pages don't have any sort of design or decoration on them, and I just thought I'd put a couple of surprises on these pages here at the back. So here on this first page, I am going to sketch in a couple of frogs. These frogs coming from the very beginning of the Dreams video by the Cranberries. I thought they would just be a super random and fun doodle to put on this page. Moving on to the next blank spread, and again this is where I'll be doing my daily logging, and I am going to sketch in some falling flower petals. There are many music videos with falling flower petal imagery, but the one that's on this playlist for Inceptions is Feeling Good by Muse. And then I'm going to do one more page. Those who may have watched my weekend wanderluster getaway journal set up know that I am going to be seeing Queen in Denver in November. So I had to put a Queen song on here, and there's already one on the playlist, and that song is It's a Kind of Magic. In that video there was all kinds of crazy imagery, but the one that I wanted to put on here was this cape. Because in that video, Freddie Mercury prances around in this fantastic sort of Dracula-esque cape. All right, flipping back to the beginning to just do a really quick flip through, and we have my cover page, which is a combination again of Inception as well as Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. And I was thrilled when I landed on the idea for music video imagery in this particular setup. Again, here is my calendar as well as my to-do list with silent lucidity. And then of course we just have the couple of pops going into the weeklies just to give those pages a little bit of interest. And I may or may not do some other doodles on these subsequent pages. And that is it for my November 2023 bullet journal setup. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you liked this video, you know what to do. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.